Let's see what we can do with this. Took about 10 minutes to get everything ready. I got my notes. I got like 25 tabs open, so hopefully we can do some stuff here. So let's see, we bring up some chat commands. Oh, remember. So just in case you don't know, that is my personal Movember link. We do have milestones that are put out there and some incentives. So hopefully we can hit a couple more of those. I should probably bring those up so I know what they are right in front of my face, but I only have one monitor and I haven't brought those up quite yet. So clean off my glasses and we'll bring those up so I don't forget. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, so open that up in a new tab. Open that one up in a new tab. There. Just so I can see them a little bit easier. So that can close this. I'll probably keep there. I have 1, 2, 3. Oops. Discount. Maybe. Nah, I won't bring that one up just because I do have other information that's a little bit better than that. So, okay. Sorry, just making sure I have. Why did that do that? Okay, I don't know why. Sorry, just trying to get the tab up that I want to have right now, which is this one. Okay. Sorry, just gotta make sure I have all the things up. So just to give you guys a. That's not the one I wanted. Okay. Back to here. Sorry, we got that one there. Down to here. And that should be fine. Okay. So, I think I have all the tabs sorted out now. We got that one there. We got the music over here. I'll put that at the very end so I don't close that out. Okay. I think that's good for that. Sorry, just trying to make sure we got all like, because I have tabs on this, tabs on that, and a few other things in between. So I really hope I have it all there. So, hoping to do this kind of like an open forum, I guess, per se. I mean, I can start diving into it at some point, but way too much I'm trying to click without, I'm between tabs and between this and doing that, so hopefully we can find something there. Nice and cold. Okay. So I guess I'll start with the most obvious. My name is Paladin Fanboy. I'm hoping to do the VOD on this. Hopefully it will go up. I could do that because then I can put videos there. that. Could do this. I could. Hold on. I also want to do one more thing. Yeah. Pretty good. Come back. Free. Save with coupons. Well, that's fine. Because I wanted to do this. Hopefully this will save the way I'm hoping it's going to save. Okay. And then we can... Yeah. Okay. Sorry, trying to do things on the fly here, Yoshi. Add image. New source. Browse. Sorry, just see if we can do all this really quickly. Screenshots. That. Take that. Put that down there, and then I'm going to add another image, which we're going to rename QR. Add source. I think this is what it is. Maybe? Why did it not open? Okay, sorry, I'm just going to do this. I believe this is exactly what I want to do. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be up to date with these things. Yes, it is. Beautiful. Okay, so we can close that. Oops. We'll close that as well. Go back to here. We'll have chat open. We'll go done. I think this will be big enough. This should be big enough. The QR code for my Movember we'll put in the other corner. Nasal. I gotta keep forgetting which way I pull my hair, and we're gonna have issues with that by the end of the show. So you're gonna see it. I should probably make a command for that. Probably a good idea. Probably should do that. Really should. But then I'd have to have it like continually playing, which would be quite annoying. So, I'm just trying to think how I want to do this because I'm kind of anxious with regards to let's turn this down just a wee bit. Should be better, I think. I think it should be lightly audible and kind of break the silence, but it shouldn't be overwhelming for anybody. Sorry, I got too many tabs open. Not gonna lie. Okay. Excuse me. Interesting. That. So, Movember. November is almost over. It is still the 28th of November here, which for most people leaves them about 2.5 days left to the month. I do work the next 2 nights. I was kind of hoping to be able to do this like kind of on the last night, but here we are. So my name's Paladin Fanboy. I am a registered nurse by trade, and I've been advocating for Movember since 2018, I believe, is the. Oops, see, I'm already starting to go back the other way. We're going this way. We're going this way today, okay? We might switch by the end of the show, but that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, so I'm a registered nurse. I've been doing this because as a registered nurse over the last like 11-ish years, I've really noticed men's mental health taking a damping, taking like a big beating, and just difficult for many men to come in and get seen. Many men have the issue of taking the time off work because most employers that are privatized and in the blue collar type industry is if you don't work, you don't get paid. So that's its own issue. So they feel that they can't take the time off because if they take time off from those type of employers who you have to I'm already starting again. Which way am I going? We're going this way, okay? We're going towards the light. We'll see if I remember that. Jesus. Um, yeah, so a lot of men feel that if they take any time off, that they won't get paid for a lot of the time. That's how a lot of employers do operate. That they need to be at work in order to get paid. So if they take time off, their mental health isn't worth it because they need to be putting bread on the table. And I mean, I'm not taking away from the times where their partner is the breadwinner. They still feel that pressure. I think it's just a societal thing. I think it's something that a lot of men feel that they need to go to work every single day and be there all the time for it. So whether that be true or proper or correct, that's just what a lot of that mental anguish comes with for men. So, and it is sad. It is quite depressing to know that many men out there struggle. It's been a journey, to say the least. Many times in the emergency room when I was working in there full time. Well, not full time, but like a lot more than I am right this minute. I'd have many discussions with various men. I said, I don't know, I feel something here. Didn't come off with any EKG, that there was anything at that point that was chest pain related to the heart, and like, an actual heart attack or anything of the sort. But, definitely still hard for them to come in and use their words. I'm like, okay, so how are you feeling here? Pointing to my chest and saying like, what kind of words would you use to explain it? And they're like, words? Like, I don't know. I feel, I don't know, different. So it's, in the grand scheme of things, better than what you can see out there. But staring at things, wondering what I can do to make it kind of different. But they don't know how to like explain things. They don't know how to look within themselves and say like, is it a sharp pain, a dull pain? They find it difficult to explain to others if it's anxiety or anything of that nature. So it's one thing we got to start talking about more, right? Many, 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 many times you've heard the sayings: happy wife, happy life; happy spouse, happy house. And a lot of men feel that that's not applicable to them. You keep the wife happy, everything else kind of falls into place. Yo, welcome in, my friend. I hope you're doing well. 53 bloody months. Welcome back to the honorary guard. Much, much, much appreciated. There is no alert set up on this screen. I probably should change that, but that would mean I know what I'm doing here. I'm nervous because I'm just going to be rambling. I got papers and hotlines and 52 tabs open. Okay, perfect. Good to know. Thank you. This button. This one. Ah. Okay. Try that. Yeah, so nervous. Like I said, I got stats and stats and papers and stats and helplines, and I opened up a can of worms that I have no idea where to start. So I was just rambling about how it goes and kind of where it brought me to. and then I'm going to be posting this as a VOD. I hope it's good enough at the end of the day. But again, much appreciated. Thanks again for the 53 months of support here. It really does mean a lot. As you know, 50% of that goes towards charity. So we can certainly. I don't think we're going to get another payout by the end of the month, but you never know. Things can happen. We might be closer than I think. Hey JKK, how you doing? Hope you're doing well tonight. It's definitely a different vibe here compared to what I'm used to doing. I'm definitely anxious. So what I was saying before Dio got here was a lot of men have issues articulating how they feel. A lot of men don't know how to be in tune with their bodies like women do, I guess, is the easiest thing to do it. A lot of women can say, like, I'm feeling this or that, and they can get very hyper focused onto it and like really get words out. Where men, it's like, I don't know, I just feel something here. Like, is it a burning feeling? Is it a pressure? And they're like, I just feel different. So over the last like year and a half working in the emergency room, um, talking to different men, spending some time with them, taking the 5 or 10 minutes if I was able to do it, and talking to them about anxiety, talking to them about depression, and sometimes that they have to take care of their health, because if they don't, then they're becoming another statistic, in the sense that they haven't taken care of their health, or they put it off and put it off, and then all of a sudden they have these big raging heart attacks or strokes or stuff like that, because they just aren't used to coping with certain things. And I was saying that a lot of privatized companies and stuff like that if you don't go to work, you don't get paid. So there's that undue pressure put on men typically, because not in all households, but a lot of them out there, it really is the man is the breadwinner. Not all the case, not all the time, but a lot of houses that is the case. So they feel that pressure. If they don't go to work, they're not going to get paid, and they can't put that meat on the table. Whether they work from home or whether they have to travel and do travel in and travel out assignments, which are even harder. When you have to fly out 2 and 3 weeks at a time, missing many opportunities with your kids. My dad used to do it when I was very young, trying to put meat on our table. There was one trip I would have probably been about 5 or 6 years old, I believe, maybe even 7, somewhere around that vibey range. I think it was about 5. Um, so I have 2 other brothers. Both are in the forces here in Canada, and he came home from this trip up north, and I believe it was my middle brother, who would have been probably about 3-ish at the time when stranger danger really becomes a thing. Absolutely lost it when dad came home. We went to the airport, or he came in our house. I don't remember the story right off, but basically he came home and he was like, "Who are you?" Like, my middle brother was like, "Who is the stranger?" Because dad also came home with a beard, so that put a lot of undue stress on dad. And he's like, "Nope, I don't care if I never make, that kind of money again." Was it good money? Absolutely. But he's like, the money's not worth it. Being away from my kids and being away from all these events that I'm missing, baseball in the summer, soccer, Christmas concerts, those type of things. He was able to make some of these things if he was on his turnarounds, but that wasn't always the case for him. So very hard on him, and I can only fathom what it's like to be a travel type parent. And luckily, I'm not in that realm of life. So anxiety is one big thing that, again, men just don't know how to articulate, like, that they're feeling that way. So I guess we should define what anxiety is. So tab number 372 on my my Microsoft browsers at the moment is the definition for anxiety. So anxiety is an abnormal or overwhelming sense of apprehension and fear, often marked by physical signs. Some of these signs are tension. You can see sweating or an increased heart rate. So we call that tachycardia. by doubt concerning the reality and nature of the threat, and by self-doubt about one's capacity to cope with it. It is a mentally distressing concern or interest, um, or a strong desire, sometimes mixed with doubt, fear, or uneasiness. Um, so that's straight from Merriam-Webster. And it's great to have those words on paper, but that looks different for everybody. I really believe that anxiety is something that is natural in every single person out there. It's how do you cope with it? How do you identify as it? Is it debilitating or not? Oh, sorry, and I'll put my little disclaimer out there. This is not deemed as like the medical like end all be all for knowledge. I'm only like this big into it. I'm not like an expert in mental health. I certainly do have some stats on some of those type of things. I do have some definitions, but I mean, a medical practitioner that's a psychiatrist and psychologist, and people that work more mental health would have a better understanding and a better way to advocate for this stuff. And if you're always, sorry, if you're ever in doubt, my apologies. Reach out, whether it be the crisis lines that are out there, whether it be the various phone numbers that you can reach out for, which I do have some of them. Suicide SP is always available on my channel, so it's exclamation point SP. It's the suicide prevention lines. And so there's the U.S. National Suicide Prevention Line, the Lifeline in the U.K., I believe it is, Canada, and Australia. So those numbers are there in case you ever do need to avail of them. They're always available on this channel, except for when I'm offline. I don't know if you can access them, but I will make a point after the stream to put them into my Discord. So hopefully they're there for you guys to avail of if ever needed. I do have other numbers here today that we'll bring forth, but we'll talk about that after. So let's see if I can do this correctly, because I have 275 tabs open. It feels. We are going to click this. That's definitely beautiful. Okay. So I'll do this. I'll bring that up. Let's see. Let's see if I do this right. Okay. So I'm going to play this video. It is off of YouTube. I do not own the rights to this. Hopefully I don't get dinged for it. Hopefully this discussion today, when we get into testicular health, prostate cancers, and those things that I don't get dinged. I'm definitely going to mark it for over 18 when I do put up the VOD. So hopefully it doesn't ding anything or piss anybody off. Yeah, I'm not ready to play you yet. Just relax there, machine. Alright, so let's play the video. Oh, sorry. There we go.
We all have mental health. It is just as important as physical health. It is not only about mental illness or mental disorders. This is just one part of a bigger picture. It's best to think about mental health as being on a continuum, rather than people being either mentally ill or mentally well. We are all on the continuum, and we move up and down according to factors such as our genetic makeup and upbringing, our life circumstances, and the stresses we are under. At one end of the continuum, we have mental disorders, like depression or anxiety. And at the other end, we have states of positive mental health, when we're thriving, content, and fulfilled. The aim of mental health interventions is to move people up the continuum so that they're able to reach their full potential and live satisfying lives. The World Health Organization describes mental health as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Being mentally healthy means being resilient and able to cope with difficult times, feeling in control, being confident, feeling good about yourself, managing and expressing your emotions, building and maintaining good relationships. We all experience periods when we feel stressed, worried, anxious, sad, afraid, or angry. These are all normal emotions. However, when these emotions become severe enough that it interferes with a person's ability to function daily, and these feelings become persistent over time, then it can develop into a mental health problem. There are many different types of mental disorders. When left untreated, mental disorders can be chronic and long-lasting, and are associated with increased disability. They significantly have an impact on daily functioning and frequently interfere with family, social, and work responsibilities. Fortunately, there are effective treatments and evidence-based interventions available that aim to help individuals understand and cope with symptoms of mental illness. However, very few people with mental disorders access existing treatment services. This may be due to barriers such as the stigma attached to seeking help, the lack of understanding of mental health problems, uncertainty of how to get help, or the fear of disclosing mental health problems. Research shows that stigma remains one of the biggest factors preventing people from seeking help early for their mental health problems and getting the appropriate support they need. It is important to acknowledge that we all have mental health and have a personal responsibility to learn how we can improve and maintain our well-being in order to lead meaningful and satisfying lives. Want to learn how you can do this? Great news! Why not join one of our communities and keep exploring Maudsley Learning online?
So obviously, I'm not supported and or endorsed by this company, but just something to keep in mind. And I mean, you can go up and down those stairs. They can come and go. You can have a couple days where you're, lower on those rungs, and you might have a couple days where you climb up and are doing much better. And you might fall back down and go back up, right? Like it's not always just up. And even those people that appear, because the one big discussion that you see commonly is on social media, those people that take their phones. My old phone will take that one. And I'm trying to post a selfie. I'm always smiling, always happy, but that's how I make it appear. And not always someone who has those type of pictures are always happy. And maybe they could be happier more than not, and maybe they are trying to be positive and spread positivity to others, but it's not always necessarily the case. I think social media is a great platform to reach out, um, and maybe say like, hey, JK, how you doing today? Are you feeling well? Maybe I reach out to them in a DM. It has that power that you can connect in that regards. But then with regards to, maybe some people are always looking at others in that light of, oh my God, their life is so much better than mine, and doing that comparison all the time, that they don't feel adequate enough. Seeing people with makeup on and thinking that they have to have makeup on at all times. You can do it if you want, honey. Like if you want to wear makeup all day long, well, I'll leave that to you. But you don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, that's what you feel comfortable doing. And if you feel comfortable doing it, then sure, go for it. But if you don't want to wear makeup 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, then don't do it. So I think the social media and the World Wide Web has great options out there, but I also think that it's a double-edged sword where there's goods and bads that come with it. So definitely be mindful of it. Definitely be, open for information that may be incorrect or correct. I'm hoping the stuff I'm giving you is credible sites. It seems like most of them are. I'm still not an expert in some of this stuff too, even being a registered nurse. Um, Sorry, just checking something over here. There we go. We'll bring back the music. Yeah. So I'll have a little pause here. I'll talk about my milestones and my incentives. Um, I will do my best. I think I have it up. No, I don't. Okay, sorry. I thought I had it up. I will do my best to keep checking tonight with regards to where we stand if anybody does donate. So I'll try to go back and forth on that. So for every um, up to like it should be every dollar, $1 up to 10, um, 10 inclusive, will give you one entry into the giveaway with 5 push-ups. I'll try to do those on stream so you can see them. Anywhere from $11 to $24 is a two entries into the giveaway. 5 burpees. I'll talk about the giveaways in a second. I'll do 5 burpees on stream, I hope. And anybody that donates $25 or more gets 3 entries into the giveaway, and I'll do 20 squats. Gross. I do owe some squats from previous, so I'll do those hopefully soon. I just don't know if we'll do them tonight as well. And I also have a monumental support board on the side here. Grandma Paladin has donated money. Dio the Yarn Dragon, who frequently avails of this chat, has donated. Starcore Zach has donated. And on behalf of the Twitch community here from Paladin Fanboys community, has donated money as well. So I only have one monitor, so I'm trying to go back and forth to make sure I don't miss anything on chat. I do have my chat on my phone as well, but trying to make sure I don't miss anything. So right as of now, I do sit at $330 for Movember that is raised. So for my milestones, that means that we will be doing a Discord movie night at some point. If people do want to show up for that, I don't know what we'll play yet for a movie, but we'll certainly do something. There will be a night dedicated to Jackbox stream. So we'll play all Jackbox that night. I don't know when that's going to happen. If we get an additional $70 in donations, I will eat a fresh lemon with the skin on. At $500, the boys, so I have 2 boys, Buddy Jr. and 2.0. They will take a whipped cream pie and they'll pie me in the face. I do have like a little asterisk there. Basically, we'll do that offline so I can videotape them doing it, but doing it in such a way that they face away from you to keep their anonymity intact. At $600, I'll give away all the G Fuel I have. So I have a case, or not case, geez, I wish I had that much, kind of. I do have a can, I guess you'd call this a tub? Tub, there we go, that's the word I was looking for. A tub of G Fuel, Bahama Mama flavor with a couple of tasters. If it doesn't go, then I guess I'm going to enjoy some more G Fuel in the future. At $750, we'll do a night where I will stream or figure out a way to do it. Boy band karaoke, it won't be the highlight. I'll find the ways to get around that, but we'll do NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and 98 Degrees and I don't know, whatever other boy bands are out there. If somehow we get $670 in donations, I will get a mohawk for the full month of December. If we hit $1,250, again, kind of like the whipped cream, but this will be a dozen eggs that the boys will crack over my head. Again, me videotaping after and offline, so we can control kind of how things operate with that. And if we do get to 1,500, which is my big like dream goal, I will do the 1 chip challenge. And I will do that live. I will post it on my YouTube and all the other things on it. So those are my milestones. Those are my incentives. So the QR code you do see on stream is the current QR to donate. So you can certainly do that. Or at any point, hit exclamation point Movember. And that will give you the link for it as well. So, yeah. So we touched upon mental health a little bit. So mental health isn't just one thing. Anxiety is a piece of the puzzle. There is depression. I was going to try to open up a can of worms of bringing up all these things, but the more and more I thought about it, and the more I started clicking and having 8, 10, 12. I'm pretty sure you have about 12 tabs open right now. It becomes hard because you guys might be in Europe. You might be present here from Australia, Canada, the US. So the availability of resources might be different depending on your country. Most times, like if I went, I'll just do one live and on the fly. We'll go right to your Google, and I'll say suicide prevention line. Let's pick Germany. I have no idea. Suicide helplines in Germany. I have no idea how legit these are, but 0800 1110111, maybe. But I'm sure if you, I can't read the German that says there, so. But for the most part, I'm sure if you went and Googled it, that you'll be able to get a like a resource line for suicide prevention, pretty much wherever you are. I hope is not a hard thing to find. If you ever have even just thoughts of being down and hard on yourself, and even like the smallest of thoughts on it. I mean, here in Canada, I know we have 911. Again, that might even be just an option to call them, and just say that you're having thoughts of harming yourself, and going from there, right? So, reaching out, talking to someone. Movember's done quite the job for bringing up discussions with suicide prevention. Sorry, I just opened up another tab so I can confuse myself even more what I'm doing. And I'm going to yawn, sorry. So suicide prevention, be a man of words, using your words to talk when you do need. They have their mnemonic. Alec. Sorry, I'm just bringing up that conversation. Because again, it's another thing I get to click. Letting it load. So, Alec is a simple, proven, and helpful guide to reach out to a man who's going through tough times. You can use this on females as well, but how to ask, they have a little spot there for discussing, what and how to ask questions. Listen, so it's ask, listen, so how to listen. Listen and give them your full attention. Encourage action, so how to encourage action with them. And checking in. Even just something to saying like, hey man, how you been? I want to see what this is about. I just want to see. This is 5 minutes. I might play this one just because I'm curious. We'll think about it. So yeah, suicide. One big myth, at least what I'm understanding, is if you ask someone if they want to commit suicide, that it's going to make them want to do it. If someone truly has those type of demons internally, asking them that question is not going to bring that forth. It's not going to bring it out in them. It's not like it's, I guess in the past as well, you've heard people saying, if you ask someone if they're gay, they're going to become gay. In that LGBTQ lens, right? Like, if they see someone who's gay, they're going to become gay. No, like, you have to ask that question, because if someone's deliberating committing suicide and ending their life, you need to know that, and not just that, they're down, they're having a bad day, and just need to talk to someone. And maybe they are having thoughts of self-harm, as well. Like, there might be something there as well, but, you have to ask them if they are thinking about those type of things, and taking it seriously, even if they've fibbed about it in the past, I guess. I hate using those terms, and I don't like bringing it up, but you have to treat every single situation as if it's truth, and it's better for someone to reach out for someone and find out it's a fake or that it's not real than not reaching out and having it actually be something, right? Um, so in the U.S., one of the hotlines you can certainly reach out for is the Vets Hotline. So this is for veterans. I know that I have two brothers that are veterans here in Canada, um, and I actually got this from It's Dax. This is where I found this information initially. So um, these were tagged in one of his TikTok videos, I believe. I think it was TikTok videos. Either way, it is the Vets Hotline. I did look into it. So what it is, you connect with a crisis counselor anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So at any point, this is, a Vets Hotline. It is dial 988, then 1 to chat. So that's what you can do, or you can text 838255. That's the options you can do as a veteran. There is Help for Heroes. There is other options that were there. Text Hope Line. So another thing you can do in the United States. I'm kind of sad that I'm not able to make it. So Stream for a Cause is what I got to do last month. And they're actually having a discussion tonight on mental health and well-being. I was like, of course you are. I really wanted to watch that and then bring back more information here. But the company that they're talking to is, just bear with me. I brought it up here somewhere, and I don't know which link it is. They're talking with the Center for Suicide Awareness, is what the company is called. And so if you text Hope Line to 741-741, so it's all down that left side on a keypad, that is the Center for Suicide Awareness. They are non-for-profit, dedicated to preventing suicide through proactive education, training, emotional support, collaboration, and intervention. Um, there is stuff there, so I don't know exactly. So they're saying in March of 2023 they had 2 suicidal de-escalations, um, with over 100 texters and 134 conversations. So I think that's absolutely beautiful. In February of this year as well. Oh, no, that's March. I don't want March. Okay. I wanted February. Let's try that again. Top 10 issues were school, depression, relationship, anxiety, stress, suicide, self-harm, isolation, finances, grief, and third party. So kind of cool. Like they highlight all that. 50% males, 10% agender, and over almost 3/4 of them were white. And a 50-50, actually, I'm kind of surprised at this. It was 50-50 for being straight versus somebody who identifies as LGBTQ. Um, most texts, actually, I think that's what it means. 11 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 7. Okay, so most texts that they receive are actually between 11 p.m. and midnight, or 9 p.m. and midnight, and then from like the wee hours of the night, right? Because I mean that's when people have a lot of time to think. Not always the case, but and kind of a even split. Sunday's kind of a low percentage overall for them. Um, yeah, 741-741 if you're in the United States, and it's texting the word Hope Line to that. So, and they can help give you information there as well. I'm super interested to see about this. So Headspace is a 14-day free trial, or you can get that free as well. There's Happify, Super Better, Calm, Wobot, and Insight Timer. So those are some things. They do have some cool resources. So I will link this group below. I wish you could see the chat coming up on the side, but it's just easier for me to do full screen so you can see me a little bit better. So it is. I will put them in the notes down below. Actually, I'll make sure that if I do post this to YouTube, that I'll put it there. It's the Center for Suicideawareness.org. So some cool resources over on their website to reaching out if you ever did need. My brother, he did live. I don't know if he still currently has PTSD. He served multiple tours over to Afghanistan and a couple other trips, and definitely had PTSD after his first tour, maybe even second or third. I don't know to what time that actually stopped. So he's very pro, and it's not to take away from Movember because I strongly believe with Movember, but for this, oops, nope, sorry, we gotta comb the consistent way. Okay, we're gonna get that to that point. So for veterans especially, there is another organization that is out there that I strongly believe in, which is the Wounded Warriors organizations, and they serve. So there's Wounded Warriors Canada, who serves trauma-exposed professionals. Is somebody who, through the regular duties, who is continually exposed to traumatic events involving actual or threatened death, serious injury, and/or sexual violence. This can be a person of the military, police, firefighter, paramedic, corrections officer, a security officer, or healthcare worker. So that's who they impact here in Canada with Wounded Warrior. I didn't know it actually extended over to healthcare workers. So certainly an interesting thing. There is the Wounded Warrior Project in the United States, who's been serving 20 years. It started up post 9/11. So they are definitely there as well. Hold on. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. I guess that's the same phone number as before. So you can dial 988. And there's options there for the deaf and hard of hearing. You can get it in Spanish. And I'm just trying to see if there's you can talk to people throughout that site. So definitely some options there. Even when you go to 988lifeline.org, it does have other resources there for lost survivors, veterans, deaf, hard of hearing loss people, individuals with neurodivergence, disaster survivors, LGBTQI plus, Black mental health, Native American, Indian, Indigenous, and Alaska Natives, attempt survivors. So I mean, there's a lot of resources available here as well. I'm just trying to see what else is out there that can get closed. I don't need that one. I did that video already. So yeah, suicide is a thing that generally can be prevented. You really need to reach out. Alec, the mnemonic from Movember, is massive. Like just that last part, that connecting to someone, reaching out to them, and checking in with them, going back and saying like, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need anything?" I think those are absolutely imperative. And again, to some degree, I believe that social media assists with that type of stuff. But again, I really believe we still have quite some distance to go to making things better and even more optimal than where we are today. Sometimes my mic's picking up, and I hope that it's consistently picking up. I hope that I'm not coming and going and dropping, but it might be just me watching a little too intently. So we'll see. Go back over to my note. Oh, yes, that's what I was going to do. I was going to go back up to here with a video insert, and I'm going to play a Movember conversation. Yeah, we don't need all those there. So I'll play this, and we'll go through it. It takes about 5 minutes. Actually, I need to mute this one. Pause that. Sorry. Okay, here we go, and we'll play this. This takes about 5 minutes.
Therapy! Here's the truth about therapy. It's fucking excellent. But for all the people out there that could do with a bit of that sweet therapy nectar, very few will actually get it. Why? There are plenty of reasons. They don't trust it. They've had a bad experience with it. They're worried about what others would think, or they just don't have time. Whatever the reasons, it ultimately comes down to the same thing: understanding it. So, if you're thinking about therapy, or you know someone who might benefit from therapy, then this is for you, because this is an all-you-can-eat therapy buffet, a 5-part series that will demystify the process and empower you to seek help if you need it. So let's dig in with What is Therapy Episode 1? Sure, therapy is fucking excellent, but what is it? Can someone please tell me? This is Dr. Zach Seidler, clinical psychologist, senior research fellow at the University of Melbourne, and the director of mental health training at Movember. And yes, he chose that title himself. Take it away, Dr. Zach.
Therapy has had a bad rap, which is mostly the fault of people like me. We haven't done a good enough job telling you what it is and what it isn't. Despite what you might have heard, therapy isn't all medication, lying on plush leather couches and reflecting on your childhood. Sure, it can be those things if you want, but what's important here is realizing that therapy comes in so many shapes and sizes. This is therapy. This is therapy. Even this is therapy. It's all therapy. The exact shape therapy takes is actually irrelevant, as long as it provides a space where you can learn to better understand yourself, your strengths, and what makes you tick. In the end, it's about developing practical life skills, except these skills are about self-care, learning to deal with the stress of everyday situations like losing your job or going through a breakup. Ultimately, it's about improving your mental health. And who doesn't want that?
So here's the thing about Dr. Zach. I like him and all, and sure, he's got a PhD and he's dedicated his life to this field, but he's just one man with one very well-researched opinion. So I think I'm in need of a little anecdotal evidence.
Therapy has changed my life for the better. It has helped give me tools that I will take with me for the rest of my life.
My confidence has skyrocketed by having an issue pop up, using the tools, seeing that it works, seeing that somebody else has used this stuff and that it's worked for them.
When you go to a session and you sit there and talk to someone and you walk out of there afterwards and you just, I'm so relieved I did that.
It was good just to be able to talk to someone in a private confidentiality kind of environment.
You don't know until you first go, and then you realise, wow, I've got so much to talk about.
It's a very normal conversation that you should be having. Your mental health is everything.
There's this stigma around therapy that's oh, you need to be extremely mentally ill to go to therapy, but it's kind of even if it's just little things, it's their job to talk to people when they're not feeling well mentally and emotionally. It's like going to a doctor.
Even if you don't like talking to people about this stuff, psychologically, it'll make a difference.
I would say that therapy has been one of the most life-changing things I've ever had to do. It's just made me a better human being.
It's helped me understand the triggers that require help when I need help, and knowing that the help is there.
So if I'm struggling with something, I know how to approach that and focus on what I need to sort out.
I'm not afraid of the issues anymore because I have control.
It's made me much stronger, much more resilient, and much more I've got someone in my corner.
It helps you stay grounded.
Definitely wouldn't be as self-aware if I didn't go to therapy.
I'd like to think it's made me a better husband, maybe a better dad. It helped me realise and prioritise what is actually important.
Everyone deserves therapy because it will save their life. It's as simple as that. It saved my life multiple times.
And that's why we're here. Because like all those blokes, it's important to us that anyone who needs help feels confident enough to get it. We won't lie, there are barriers here. Finding the right therapist can be difficult. Wait times can be painfully long, and it can get expensive. But we believe the wait and the investment in yourself is worth it. Just remember, the thing about therapy is, it's fucking excellent.
All right, so yeah, there's 4 other videos that come with that, but I mean, at least you start having those conversations, and they talk about the medications. I know that's a big one for people. They don't want to be on medications for life, and sometimes that may be an option. Sometimes it's not the right option. That conversation is probably the hardest one because I find, as a healthcare worker, you see people that put on a medication and they just feel bleh. They don't feel great about themselves. It doesn't help. So sometimes it's not the right avenue. But I like the comment where they say it's like talking to a doctor about your physical health, or that's kind of what I took away from it. We do that quite well, right? You got pain in your shoulder. I got pain in my shoulder. I need it fixed. So why can't we do that with our mental health to some degree? They say that it helps their control. I don't feel. I feel that mental health is getting better. I still think that there's a lot of barriers with it too, because even people sometimes can use it for the negative to kind of grandstand their own issues. That's its own entity and a bad thing, the can of worms to open up. So we won't go down that path, but sometimes airing out your own laundry across social media isn't the best option either. So, yeah. But yeah, they felt like they could have that private conversation with a therapist. So, there are sites out there. I believe I was actually watching that dude can cook. I think it is on YouTube. Um, yeah, that dude can cook on YouTube, and he put out BetterHelp.com. So it can help bridge you to a therapist. This one, the cost for the therapy is $80 to $110 per week. So you can talk about $300 a month. So I don't know exactly to what degree that is, but they can. Oh, okay. Yeah, so just there's more and more avenues for that type of stuff. I'm assuming or hoping that with BetterHelp.com, he's advocated saying that he's really appreciated what that's made and helped him with regards to things. But if you do go to his website and stuff, you can save 10%. So I mean, even hey, listen, $5 is still $5 if that's something that works for you. I feel with mental health that anxiety as a whole is on kind of a rise, like I was alluding to earlier. Where do we start? It's better to get that out there. I think it's better that people express that they feel anxious. But again, sometimes anxiety is a good thing. Some people, if they're doing tests or if they're doing a project that's coming up, sometimes you need that fuel. Sometimes you need that anxiety of, okay, it's due tomorrow in order to get that work done. So sometimes it can be used for the better. It is when it becomes debilitating that is not going to help, right? If you know that you panic and that leaving everything to last minute is really not good for you, then you do need to look at something to make that a little bit better for you, right? Because obviously last minute work is not going to work well with you, right? Let's see. What else do I have to say about that? Anxiety. Sometimes, I mean, all parents, especially as a dad, I want better for my own kids. But everybody and their dog A has a backside, aka a butthole, and their opinion on how you're supposed to raise set kids. So that in itself, I think the anxiety of am I doing well enough? All these parents out there that compare, oh my God, how dare you X, Y, or Z. Social media and technology, the amount of cyberbullying that you see out there. I believe that we don't teach our kids well in the education system as a grand thing. I think that we can implement technology, which is a great thing, having different avenues that maybe you can submit a piece of paper this way versus that way. There's benefits to that, but sometimes there isn't deadlines put on certain things for people. And maybe there's different things going on that I'm just not aware of. Maybe I'm just too not in the loop, I guess, with the education system to know the teachers are doing more than what they know. Some parents feel that the teachers need to do all the work. Excuse me. Some teachers feel that the parents need to do a bit more work. So yeah, with mental health disorders, definitely some do. I don't want to say need or require because again, this is not medical advice. Medications can be used there. Sometimes you might need multiple medications depending on what that disease process is. You can do things such as cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT. Realistically, like the video from Movember kind of alluded, there's lots of ways that you can deal with stuff. Sometimes it's just getting stuff off your chest. You might go and write a little booklet of how you're feeling that day and go and torch it every week, right? Here's all my issues. I really hated that I did all this work and there's only 2 people in this chat. I'm really appreciative, actually, but say I was actually mad over that. I can take it, write it up, and then go burn it, and it's gone. It's off my chest. I feel much better about it, right? Journaling, people can do that type of stuff. So I mean, there's lots of options that are out there. There is lots of things that you can, go back to. There is lots of, oops, sorry, wrong button. Lots of things that you can do to help yourself cope. Interesting. Sorry, I click buttons. Thank you, Lucentile, for the like of the retweet that's out there, or the tweet that's out there. So again, if you are here and you really, really, really want to support this and maybe get the word out a little bit more, and you like what you're hearing, certainly hit that and retweet it out, or even like the post. Both means a lot to me. Sorry, I'm trying to keep an eye on all that, plus the Movember site to make sure that I don't have to do any push-ups or anything like that. So I'm going back and refreshing certain things, going back, clicking here, clicking there. So, yeah. So I mean, therapy for everybody, and I don't need to be. I don't know the right word for it. I really don't actually. I don't mean to like talk it down, but mental health is difficult because what's going to work for somebody may work for someone else. Absolutely, it definitely can. But you also can't paint everybody with the same brush. If someone has PTSD because they're in military, the treatment for them is not always the same being a military member. It might be similar for some ways, and you might be able to articulate certain things certain ways with certain people and get to someone to be able to open up a bit easier in certain circumstances. But there isn't, oh, you have personality disorder. Here you go. You have a personality disorder. This will fix you. It might have certain treatments that are gold standard. And again, I'm not an expert in this. This is not an end all be all. Is at least talking about it and getting it out there, and having that conversation to make sure that people can talk about their feelings and be justified, feel that they are validated for their feelings, and So putting the proof to the pudding, where if we say that we're all equal and we're all not being judgmental, like that a person, a white male is going to get treated the exact same, or with the same integrity as a black man, as a black woman, as a black man that's a homosexual. Everybody should be treated equal with regards to that, right? So I again, I'm not an expert in these fields, but there's certainly something that we do have to talk about a little bit more. So mental health is definitely difficult. I won't lie. What's out there for people is hopefully gaining. I know in my province there's an app called Bridge the Gap. There's resources there. Where is it? Another one here is the Center for Suicide Prevention. This is a link through the Canadian Mental Health Association. They have workshops that you can go through, how to talk about suicide, the actual class of ASSIST, which is Applied Suicide Intervention. I forget what it stands for. Hold on. I forget what the 1S stands for. I'm pretty sure it's Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training. I knew it was which I do have. I don't use it as much as I want. Not gonna lie. I do have to look at this. Okay, sorry. They do offer through the suicideinfo.ca a half-day discussion-based workshop examining suicide in Indigenous children and communities. It's kind of cool. Looking forward. So this is a half-day workshop for people working with youth ages 12 to 24. Oh man, okay, there's way more resources than I thought. Okay, hold on. River of Life is an interactive half-day workshop created for individuals working with Indigenous young people, 12 and up. Safe Talk is a 3.5-hour workshop that alerts someone to warning signs indicating risk of suicide. So I think that's great if you have anybody in your life that, has had suicide in the past. It might give you a bit more knowledge. So that's kind of cool. Skills for a Safer Living is a 4-week group guided program for people who work with ones who are 12 to 24. Now that one's funded by the government of Alberta, so I don't know if that's available to everybody, but again, it's an option that's out there. Small Talk is a half-day workshop that will examine warning signs in a child and intervention strategy, so I don't know much about that. And then there's also Walk With Me, which is a 1-day process-based workshop exploring the suicide grief cycle in Indigenous communities. And, what else do they have here? Like there's search our resources. Sure. Holy jumpins. Okay. Buddy Up campaign, which is a suicide prevention public awareness campaign by men for men. So I think that's kind of cool. Cross Canada Statistics. So it's actually a spreadsheet of statistics throughout Canada. So actually, I'm going to click it because now I'm curious. Sorry, just because. Hello, Blade. How you doing? I can't hear those because it's not. It's right now not in this certain part. So my apologies. So some statistics. So these are. I don't need to enable editing. So in British Columbia, so one of the provinces here, that's on the west coast. So the leading causes of death, suicide back in 2000 was the number 9 rank. where it's actually dropped off a bit. Now it's near 14th, so I'm kind of happy it's dropping. So in Canada as a whole, it's dropped as well from 9th to 12th from 2000 to 2021, with having about the same actually. So in 2000, there was 3,606 reported deaths from suicide in Canada, and about 3,769, which yes is more, but then there's more population, so the number is actually lower. So I'm kind of happy to see that is decreasing. In the province I live in, we had 47 deaths by suicide, and I'm pretty sure that even if you stretch that even further, so in my province, it's Newfoundland and Labrador. There's Newfoundland is the island, and Labrador is the attached province. Labrador is more of an outport type community-based place. I would imagine that the statistics are mostly from up there, because there is quite a lot of suicides up there. So went from 47 in 2000 to 78 in 2021. So it was an increase for our province. And out of those 71 deaths in 2021, 61 of those in my province were males. So let's go back to Canada. Let's do that analysis there. We'll whip out the old calculator. Just one second. I did see you say something there, Blade. Just give me one moment, though. So 2,822 suicides by death for men is 75%. So it is 75% actually in the province or in the country. And that's typically where they say the statistics are. 3 out of 4 suicides are by men. 3 out of 4, right? So huge numbers. Not to take away from the almost 1,000 women in Canada in 2021. So, very interesting that that actually follows suit with the numbers I've always had. You were very tempted to take a drink the other day. So what made you tempted? What was it? Anything upset you? Right? What helped you not take a drink? Was there anything in particular that made you say, you know what? Nope, I'm going to drop that bottle? Sorry, I'm putting the music back on the background. So we'll put that back on in the background. So it's there. But yes, welcome in, Blade. I hope you're doing well today. My DMs are open. Definitely for you. I will do my best to keep my DMs open for anybody, but it's hard to do if I don't know you, right? So it was a party. Okay. Like any type of particular party, like that it was like was drinking expected to be there? Okay. There you go. That answers most questions. So you're ahead of the game. Are you a person that has to separate yourself from it? Like, does that help you? Like, knowing, okay, this is a tailgate party, and you typically say no. Like, I can't go to these functions. Typically, is that the easiest way for you to keep yourself safe? And did you have a choice to go to that party? I guess as well, right? I know you ultimately always have the choice, but was it something that you were expected to go to? You know what I mean? So, had no choice. Okay. So, right. Sometimes alcohol does add to mental health. It does add that stressor. It does make things worse, usually, more than not. A lot of people use the bottle as their coping mechanism. And there's one thing for having a social drink, but sometimes opening up that can of worms turns into alcoholism, or it reopens the door for alcoholism and other substance abuse or substance use. So being mindful of that as well. If you know that it's an issue, you can certainly keep an eye to it, but it's only an issue if you know it's an issue. So, sorry, trying to keep an eye to Movember link just in case. Trying to go back and refresh here, refresh there. So, are you able to drink a beer, like have a social beer, or even like a non-alcoholic beer? Can you do non-alcoholic beer without getting yourself into trouble? Or are you one like if you touch it, it's complete and utter game over? If it's too much to ask or talk about, certainly, by all means, stop me right away. I don't mind. It's up to you. You know that, but I'm just reiterating for anybody else that's in chat that may want to talk or not talk. Sorry, I'm trying to hydrate as I go through. And okay, good. Yeah, because some people just like even the taste of any alcohol, even if it's non-alcoholic, is going to set them off the deep end and cause them to go down that deep rabbit hole. So, sometimes that recognition of triggers is half the battle. Understanding who you're around sometimes makes a big difference. If you're hanging out with certain people and knowing that you have to, quote unquote, have a drink every time that you're around these people, um, is that really going to be conducive if you have an issue with it, right? Yeah. So mental health is a big thing. Alcohol usually, rarely. This is not true medical advice because again, I can't really say that it is sound medical advice because I can't do that as a nurse. I want you to talk about it. I want people to be able to feel safe to do that here. But I can't say like, you need to get treatment. I really Yeah, so they really don't understand why, because a lot of the cancers are getting treated, and I guess even with that, they're saying that there's a quote unquote 72 to 99% survival rate, with the 72% obviously being the poorest of the prognosis. Just trying to think there as well. And they estimate about 9,000 deaths per year from testicular cancer. So like 1 in about 8 of the new cases, I guess, might get to that point. So something to be mindful of. The biggest thing I find with testicular cancer is the fact that it's such an early stage, and something that parents need to be able to do right out the gate is teaching their young boys how to do a testicular examination. And again, this is not the most perfect definitions, but understanding that you should be able to gently touch your testicles and not having it pain. You might be able to, like, not feel lumps on the testicle and stuff like that. If you're doing any of those things and you're gently touching it, like, it should be a soft feeling on the inside. There are better ways to articulate, how to do a testicular exam, but they usually say do it in the shower. That way it lets the testicles drop a little bit more and easier to work with. But if you're feeling lumps and pain and stuff like that, certainly go see a practitioner and get it looked into. Lumps with or without pain. So even if you're not feeling that smooth oval shape, or not having pain with it, certainly not a good thing. Sometimes with the scrotum as well, you might feel bumps in there as well. The testicle, typically it's kind of firm, but not like rock hard firm. Or you have like a scrotal heaviness. So your scrotum's actually like really heavy. Those are some things you might notice, just like checking it and knowing what you're used to seeing. It might grow so slow that you might not be able to notice the difference. So definitely comes with practice. I will definitely point yourselves over to Movember because they do quite a good video. I might bring it up here in a minute too, if I can find it. Know thy nuts. Here we go. Perfect. So I believe this shouldn't trigger anything that will upset. Oh. That's enough. That's enough out of you. Excuse me. So we'll go this one. I'll leave it there. I'll click this. We'll bring this up. So this is about a 32-second clip. If it lets me know. Full what? Fine, we'll watch it on YouTube. So, like I said, in a shower. Helps you relax. And again, not necessarily has to be painful. Might be just something you feel different, right? And do both sides. Right? And there you go. nutsandbolts.november.com. Right? Get them nice and warm in the shower. Roll that thumb and finger over your testicle, right? So, knowing your baseline, usually you hear with, sorry, getting back to the full screen. Women in their self-breast exam, same thing. Also, just an addendum here for Men's Health. 2% of cases of breast cancer are in men. So breast cancer still can happen with men with the BRCA2 genes. So just because you're a male does not mean that you cannot get cancer in the breast. Just putting that out there too. So some risk factors. One thing that I have to point out with the age bracket for testicular cancer, when you see it the most prominent, 15 years old, right? You're talking a or not preteen. I guess you are pretty good teenager at that point. But you're in your teenage years where you think you're invincible. You think that you're undefeatable. So definitely something to be mindful of. Definitely something that you know you have to pass it on to your boys, pass it on to them to keep an eye out for that type of stuff, because that's probably when it's going to happen. And even up to 35, like a lot of men at that age still think they're invincible. So definitely know thy nuts. So some risk factors, unlike prostate cancer, the risk factors is higher in Caucasian men, so white men. Typically, you see a higher incidence of it. A family history of testicular cancer. You see that with a lot of the different cancers that are out there. A history of undescended testicles. So if your testes didn't drop at that appropriate age, certainly be mindful of that as well. So if your parents pass it on to you, you probably should be checking just to make sure. There's something called testicular atrophy that's out there as well, and another one is kind of a weird word, hypospadias or spadias. I don't know how to articulate that one. So instead of if this is your penis, the urethra usually comes out this end. If it's down on the base of the penis or even further, that has a higher risk factor of testicular cancer. And something that is not a risk factor is having a vasectomy. Something you hear all the time that people think is that if you have a vasectomy, you have a risk of having testicular cancer. So, something that is quite not true. Oh, sorry. The 9,000 males. Never mind. 9,000 deaths per year. So yeah, my stat wasn't a worldwide number for deaths from testicular cancer. Overall, they feel that screening, so like aggressively going out and screening, other than just teaching kids how to check themselves, there's a limited benefit for screening because they feel that, especially in asymptomatic or no real known risk factors, because the incident rates are so low, and the cure rates overall for testicular cancer are pretty high. So like the cost analysis, I'm not saying nobody out there wants cancer, but for the incident rate of what you're seeing coming out, like the 9,000 cases in the United States per year, so about 72,000 cases in the world every year, they usually get like a 90-odd% treatment rate. So it's actually really, really high. With testicular cancer, some ways or some things you might see the physician ask or request for. You might get referred to what's called a urologist, so that might occur. Excuse me. I guess that depends on the availability. It depends on what their expertise are and how long the wait list is, depending on where you live, right? So you might get what's called an ultrasound. You might get a CT scan. So usually the ultrasound can kind of help guide whether, again, I'm not an expert in this, whether it is a tumor, like they can kind of see a little bit more with it, gives them a bit more information as well. Same with the CT scan. It says that there's blood work out there. Do I know what it is? Absolutely not. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole with what that is. So, just know that you can go for various testing that's out there. What do they call that? Sorry, now I'm just curious what that stands for because they keep saying it and I don't know what it stands for. I've actually printed some stuff from a pretty powerful site, but I don't want to disclose that, like what it is, just in case. I don't want people coming back and saying, "Oh, I said this." So TCTs are testicular germ cell tumors. There we go. Studies suggest, and again, this is just studies suggest, that there's an association between marijuana or cannabis and the risk of testicular germ cell tumors. There are several studies that basically the risk was twice as high for those who use marijuana on a daily basis, either frequently, at least weekly, or chronically, more than 10 years. So, very interesting. What am I playing with? I'm reading my notes. What am I playing with? It might look like I was doing something else, but no, I'm actually, like, I was going through the notes. I'm being good, I promise. I'm not doing my self-test right now, my testicles. What else do they say? Oh, with testicular cancer. Now, I gotta make sure that's the right part that I'm... Yes. Less than 2% of males with testicular cancer will have a second contralateral, so I guess the other testicle. So sometimes like if you get one of the testicles removed, there's still a slight chance that you might get the other one involved. So yeah, there's a couple of risk factors out there, but overall, you just need to know. The big part with it is just knowing yourself, getting yourself checked, checking yourself often, and you might get a testicle removed. It doesn't make you any less of a man. You might have to do some hormonal therapies and stuff like that just to adjunct that testosterone that might be lost. Those are type of things that you'd have to talk to your practitioners about. Again, this is not supposed to be the end all be all for knowledge that's out there in that regard. So just know that you might have a testicle removed. You might actually have to have both removed. And with that, if you are getting them, oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's amazing. So awesome. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. I hope. Haha, I did have to sneeze. Yes, that's awesome. That's great news. Yeah, so sorry. With regards to having your testicles removed, there are options that are out there that you might have some of your sperm removed. They might be able to extract some, and you might be able to like put them into a storage facility if you so want to do that. If you want to try getting pregnant down the road, like if you are in the younger type of numbers, like if you are closer to like the 15 to like 25 type range and you aren't ready to have a child, you might be able to look up options that are there for the sperm removal, just in case you do have both of them going, right? So just be mindful that might be a thing that you can talk to your doctor about. Again, not expert, not medical advice with this, but just something to be mindful of. You can get the testicle removed. You might do something called chemotherapy, or that's the biggest one you'll see. Usually chemotherapy is a big one. Hold on. Yep. I'm just trying to go back to Movember to see if there's anything else there that... Yep. Oh, something that may occur as well with the testicular cancer once it's occurred, and if you do have to take your testicles removed, being spicy, Well, no, and there's not a spot for the men to try to get pregnant, but maybe they do want to have children down the road, right? So, I know you're being spicy, but you know, having that option down the road for them. I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to read some of the stuff too. No, it doesn't actually give me the answer. Oh, wait. Okay. So if you do go through the chemotherapy options, now this is a medical oncologist, Ben Tran. And I think they're talking specifically with testicular cancer and treatment and going through chemotherapy. They're suggesting. Okay. So they're saying that they generally feel that it is okay to have unprotected sex 4 weeks after your last chemo round. And that if you're trying to conceive, like, and trying to actively have a child with your partner, you're talking about 6-ish months after. But they're saying, and this is Dr. Mark Litwin, who is also a urological oncologist at the UCLA. There's no hard rule on it, but it takes at least a week or so before you're back in the mood to get actively sex, like to get active back in your sex life. Sorry. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that's out there quickly before I get there. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. General questions. Okay, no. So there is chemo and radiation. I don't know about radiation, what that would look like. Sorry, clicking that button too. So, with radiation, it's high energy, invisible light waves that damage cancer cells. They typically cause the tumors to shrink overall. They can kill cancer cells for weeks to months after the initial treatment. It can be given through an injection into the tumor, internal radiation, or through a beam outside the body. And side effects include nausea, mouth sores, throat problems, and fatigue. Where chemotherapy has more of a systemic kind of feel because it's giving through an IV injection, or you actually orally ingest that medication. The goal is to kill the cancer cells, shrink the tumor, and destroy the tumor. The drugs are non-specific to cancers and can impact other healthy tissues. And with chemotherapy, you usually see that alopecia, or the loss of hair, mouth sores, nausea, and fatigue as well. And they're often done in cycles. So you might see like a 4-week cycle. It might be, an 8-week cycle. I don't know how long it is. Again, that's, I guess, specific to the type of chemo that it is. Some people prefer certain over others. Sometimes you might do combination of both. Again, I'm just trying to read. They can both use a summary. Okay, cool. Yeah. So those are options that are out there for treatments. Right. Usually it's the surgical option of removing that testes, radiation, or or you can do radiation. The other thing we'll talk about, I might try to do this next 20 minutes or so. We'll see how it goes. Or if people have questions, I can do my best to answer it. So there's a lot more information. So the information I found with regards to prostate cancer is significantly bigger. And this is just off the one site. It's like 3 times the size. Like there's a significant amount more information with the prostate cancer and kind of like what's out there, history on it, approaching the screening. Like there's a lot more that's written within this. So prostate cancer is the second most common cancer in men and the 4th most common cancer overall. With that, there's about 1.4 million new cases annually, which they feel has been decreasing from 2010 to 2015. And it still results, though, overall in about 375,000 deaths per year. The variable 5-year survivability rates range from 100% in localized or regionalized spread to palliative uncurable with distant stage diseases. So what all that jargon says, your prostate is in the backside of you, not far from your backside. If it stays down in that general area, maybe it might migrate to the testicles, but it's relatively close within that region. I think that's what I'm understanding. That's one thing, but if it travels up into your brain and travels up into your lungs and metastasizes like significantly farther away, there's a higher risk for that survivability to change, right? So I didn't write down the ages, but with this, typically you see it higher as you get older. Most times I think it's 45. Hold on, I know it's here somewhere. It's in my big papers of papers of papers of papers. I think 45 is what they suggest. I'm 99% sure that's what it is. Let's go to Movember to make sure. Oh wait, that's not the right paper. Okay, sorry, just refreshing the Movember donation. The QR code is my Movember link, just in case you didn't know. Movember, this one? Yeah. Oh, that's not what I want. Where did it go? Okay, no. I thought I had one up separate for that. Oh, I think I closed it by accident. Oopsies. Okay, we'll just do this then. I'll open up another link. Men's health, prostate cancer is most common cancer in men over 45. So overall, it's 45. So some risk factors is African American or Caribbean descent. So you'd really start screening at like 40 if you're in those ranges. If you have a family history, if you are a BRCA, that's the breast cancer gene. If you're a carrier of that, and age as you get older. The big one with this, some potential investigations. There's blood work. So the PSA is one of the ones that people know often. Is the prostate-specific antigen. That does have its benefits. I know I've been in 4 in the last year and a half DREs. So DRE is a digital rectal exam because of where your prostate is located. It's that big, scary test that no man wants to go through to have their prostate checked. It is a bit of pressure. It's uncomfortable, but it does give them a valuable sense of information. There's questions whether it's as efficient and provides as much information. Again, this isn't the end-all, be-all with this, but Out there now, they say that there is a urine specimen test that you can provide as well. I don't know how that's rolled out across the world, but you definitely could get a referral to a urologist like previous. They can do CT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds. There's other things that are there for that. Again, chemo, radiation. What else is going to say about that? There's something I wanted to highlight. It's in my notes. Yeah, most times you're talking like 45 to 50 before you really start getting checked for that on a typical basis. So, if a decision is made for screening for prostate cancer, PSA testing is the most appropriate test for screening. We suggest, or sorry, this. So it's a company that really suggests they do research-based information. An interval screening of every 1 to 2 years. For most patients, they screen up until the age of 70, and then really they kind of stop at that point at 70. So, but again, that's not the end-all be-all. If they do get certain numbers, they might repeat the test just to make sure that that's the correct number. But again, you might get referred to a urologist regardless. And most times, again, you're going to be referred off to a urologist. So they are kings when it comes to the prostate and that region. So whether it is testicular or prostate cancer, you're likely going to have to see a urologist either way. Likely, possibly a surgeon, depending on how things go. Again, there's definitely different avenues out there for treatments that are out there, but it's one of those ones where you can certainly leave that up to like what your care plan is for it, right? You might see a surgeon. They might opt out and just say chemo and radiation is the best option. You might see an oncologist. So an oncologist is a specialist for cancers. Yeah. So I think that kind of nutshells all of that into one. Again, just because I am trying to make sure that we keep covering it and talking about it, this is something that's based in the U.S. You can text the word helpline to 741-741. And that is, just hold on, I got to make sure I get the proper term of it done right so I know what I'm talking about. This is based off of an emergency helpline that is open 24 hours a day, every day, for free emotional help. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available at 988, 24 hours a day, every day in the U.S. as well. You can call for yourself or someone else. And I got this information from the Center for Suicide Awareness. So the helpline is 741-741 for like just generalized help, or you can actually call. I think I said 988. Let me check that number again. Yes, 988, and there's someone always available at that number. So, again, if you aren't based in the U.S., here's the suicide prevention lines for everywhere else. Well, not everywhere else, but other places as well. Yeah. Mental health is hard because I know we had a conversation there 2, 3, 4, 5 streams ago, whatever it was. And someone was asking about mental health and how they get treated poorly in the emergency room. Now, coming from the emergency room, working as a nurse, I know doctors try. It depends on what's in the department at the time. It depends on what's going on. It depends on a whole lot of factors, okay? Most doctors that work in an emergency room, unless it's a like mental health type room or they have someone on standby that's readily knowledgeable in that information, that can take that time to sit down with someone, it does take a while, right? The quick and dirty way for me to explain it is that first, if if you come into an emergency room with an actual mental health crisis, first thing they need to rule out is, are you being do you have suicidal intent? Do you have thoughts of harming yourself? And then from there, evaluating, is it realistic? Do you have the means to do it type things? Again, I'm trying not to open up and disclose too much, but, they go through a series of questions to kind of evaluate and triage, where you are mentally. They would probably consult a psychiatrist if applicable, or like a mental health crisis line, or maybe a mental health nurse, even to come down and speak with you if they have a moment, right? So again, depending on the availability of resources. But to delve into that type of information isn't a quick trip. So it definitely is hard to do. Definitely something that does take a while if you're truly trying to listen to a person and their help and their needs at that time. You definitely have to okay, let me listen, right? I'm here for you. Validating their feelings and saying it's okay to feel like this. Giving them your undivided attention. Take your phone and yeet it down the hallway, whatever you need to do, right? But I'm here for you. So it's it is a long process. And if you have people coming in that are having medical emergencies, because the mental health emergencies are just as much of an emergency as well. And depending on where you live, sometimes they have places established for mental health emergencies only. I would like that to be everywhere, but that's generally unrealistic. It's not going to happen in a lot of places just because of resources, and it's hard enough to get a psychiatrist on a good day. Mental health is difficult because there isn't one paintbrush, like I said earlier, that paints everybody in the same light. There isn't an end-all, be-all, catch-all. Oops, not the button I'm looking for. To fix everything for everybody in every circumstance, right? So definitely something that's sorry, I missed a letter when I did that. So maybe a discussion with someone might help you out. Maybe it might not work well for you. So definitely something to keep in mind. And I really do hope any of the information I'm giving does help someone. Like I said, I will post this over on my YouTube channel as a VOD. I will keep the VOD up for this, hoping it reaches somebody somewhere. So the VETS hotline is that 988 number, and then I guess you press 1 to chat. I don't know if that's unique but that's just what was provided to me at one point. So you connect with a crisis counselor at any time. Help for Heroes was another number that was out there. I don't know how true that is. Sorry, I was trying not to burp or make any other noises. War Vet line is 1-877 War Vets. I'd have to look into that to see fully what's available. Like I said multiple times, it's 741-741. And we need to get to a point where we are talking to our doctor about our mental health just as much as we are our physical health, and feeling comfortable doing it, being able to find the right words when you're talking to that doctor, right? There's nothing wrong with having a mental health disorder, but like I showed earlier, there is a continuum. Maybe your health today is right here in the middle. You're not doing bad, you're not doing good, you're not doing great, you're not doing awful, right? You're somewhere in that middle continuum. You might get some ice cream. Sorry, I fixed my hair again. And you might step up a little bump because that just makes your mental health a little bit better that day. It might be a thing of ice cream. Who knows? And then maybe you might have a squabble with your loved one, or this might not go the way you wanted. You might step down a step, right? You might be here and step down a little bit. But it's finding what you can do to cope. It is finding your way to deal with it. Again, you might journal it and write down, I was really mad today. X, Y, and Z reasons. Or you journal like big long, like, well, this happened and this, and you write pages and pages. And you might take that like this, rip it out, and burn it. That might be your way to disclosing it to the world, and then no one knows what it means, right? So, finding what works for you, you really got to do it. I'm sure somebody could take all their pain and suffering, write them down, and they might, I don't know. I'm just really ballparking this statement. I might take one and rip off a piece. I might grab a couple more and make this into paper mache. So maybe I'm mad because I'm hungry. I don't know. Maybe that's enough to set you off. I might paper mache that into a big ball. I don't know. And then all your issues are big issue, and you take a sledgehammer to it. Listen, it's as creative as you want to be with regards to that, if it works, right? But finding those true friends is one of the hardest things you're ever going to do. You can go months without talking to certain people, and then all of a sudden really need them, and they're there for you, and they always will be there for you. So, sorry, didn't mean to yawn. So I certainly hope some of this information's helped you. Yes, I did say sledgehammer because I knew that would cause you to be like, "Oh my God, sledgehammer." But I said you might be able to take all your issues of the day, or month, or year. Maybe you had a crappy 2021. Hey, you know what? Garzori, I'd let him do it. I actually would. If it means for him being in a good place mentally, I said you might be able to, I don't know, stream. Stream made you mad today. You had a bot raid. You're mad. Stream made me mad. So then you go a couple days, maybe 10 minutes later, who knows? Maybe mommy makes you mad. And you paper mache those words together, and you end up making, right, a ball of paper mache. Or you put them together until you can make enough of a ball, right, that you actually start making, I don't have anything here that size, but, maybe something a little bit bigger. And you can paper mache to that, paper mache to that. You might be able to break it up with a sledgehammer. I don't know. Or burn it. Or something, right? So, find what works for you, right? It does take trial and error sometimes. Sometimes it's just straight up counseling, like that. I showed a video earlier about therapists and therapy. Sometimes you connect well with a therapist, and sometimes you don't. There's a complete coin flip with that. So, unfortunately, there is no like, this one's really good. Like you watch Patch Adams, one of my favorite movies of all time, and Patch Adams gets admitted to what's called an asylum at that time, or a mental institution, and he goes in to have a chat with the doctor, and the doctor's not paying any attention to him whatsoever, kind of like, yeah, what do you, yeah, and how'd that make you feel? Oh yeah. And then Patch Adams comes back to him later on when he's self-discharging, or there's a questionable line if he's going against medical advice. I don't think he was. He's like, listen, I voluntarily put myself in here, and even though the doctor's saying like you're not fit to be, leaving and stuff like that, I don't see anything that's apparent, but that's not my expertise. But he says like, listen, you suck as a psychiatrist. And sometimes that is the case, and sometimes it's just because it doesn't work well for you. I would hope that those psychiatrists and psychologists and people working in those fields are definitely there for the right reason. That may not always be the case, but I know some people escape various ways, right? I use stream sometimes, right? Coming home from a 12-hour work shift as a registered nurse and being like, nope, I'm going to stream tonight, and I'm going to damn well enjoy it. And that's an escape for many people out there. But just find what works for you. Maybe it's reading. Maybe you can escape through reading text. Maybe you're reading, like, I don't know, this book or that book, right? Um, Learning. Keep yourself occupied. Excuse me. Maybe you can go and crochet or knit and create something. Maybe that's what helps you through your day. Try to reach those things. Try to find those things. Have fun with it. Yeah. So I don't know what else to say. The QR code is in that corner. No, this corner, right here. That is to right here, right there. Yes, this link right here, right here. Sorry, it's really awkward to do that. Is the QR code for my Movember link. I do this every year. I've now raised over $2,000, which I'm proud of because 50% of what comes into the stream, or my stream over on Twitch, provides, I put towards charities. We have branched out last year to a new charity, but overall we typically do Movember every single year and trying to provide more and more information for those with regards to mental health. I do have things set up for incentives that are there each year, so I'm hoping to build upon those each year and having a little bit more fun with it. So just double checking, making sure. So again, everybody that came here so far and has shown up, thank you so much. It really does mean the world to me. I don't care if it's 20 viewers or 5 viewers or 100 viewers, but that link there, that's my Movember. If you want to support it, certainly go. So click the QR code, and it is open till the end of the month. So feel free to do that. My name is Paladin Fanboy. I think that doesn't work here. No, it doesn't. So yeah, no, sometimes it doesn't work. I'll link other ways you can support me here down below in the YouTube video once I get it posted over there. But I have to thank you guys for coming in tonight. I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break, end stream for a little bit, and then probably come back. I'll raid off to someone. I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going to go, because that's just how I feel. Yep. So sometimes streaming just definitely makes you feel a lot better, makes you feel like you're comfy and cozy. We'll go back up here. Oh, I have buttons to do this now. So we are ending soon. The stream is ending. So I thank you guys for being here. I'll probably go maybe 15 minutes, get up and get a stretch, do those type of things. Dio, thank you for the 53 months of subscribing here over on Twitch. If you guys ever need, please reach out. Definitely was anxious doing this just because it's something new for me. Even if I reach one of you out of the people that came by, or this reaches a whole lot of people over on YouTube. Again, this is not used for medical, intervention. This isn't the end-all, be-all for information. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Just trying to get some more information out there. There's a whole bunch of links I could click. I could send you 1,000 links below this video when I put it up on YouTube to send you in the right direction. But Movember's been a great supporter over the years, something that I strongly believe in. It's getting bigger and bigger. It started with just a couple boys saying, like, listen, we got to talk more about our health. And here we are years later where women go and draw on mustaches and get moving, getting active. 60 men every hour commit suicide. Prostate testicular cancers are out there. I was going to try to find that stat really quickly, but I can't do it right quick. So thank you guys for being here. I should be back with a gaming stream shortly. I'm going to raid off to someone I certainly appreciate. So if you aren't here on the Twitch stream, my apologies, but we're going to go say hi to the amazing Shark Feet, who is a good friend of mine and someone I enjoy spending time over there. Definitely a cool guy. So I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you for being here. And I hope you take care of yourselves, take care of those around you. Reach out if you ever do need, and just lend an ear, right? So I hope you guys have a great night, a great day, great afternoon. I hope this has helped you in some way, shape, or form, giving you some more information. I'm going to try to do a little bit better. Maybe next year I might actually interview someone and do a true more podcast. I didn't know what else to call it this year because it's really just me rambling and doing a big chat. So thank you guys for your words of encouragement throughout the stream, even just showing up and being here. So thank you guys. Much appreciated. Let's go say hi to Sharkfeet, hang out there for a bit, and I might go live after. I might not. I don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. So take care of yourselves, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Have a good night.